Good morning. Today's art vlog is going to be here at Settlers Cove. We are at the end of our road, living on an island. We have one highway that's about 30 some miles long, and this is the north end of the road. Behind me there's a sign that says end. It used to, before people shot it up and you can hardly see it. Last time I was here a couple weeks ago, there was a car that was right in there. It had not remembered the end of the road or had too many substances on board, and they just, you can kind of see their tracks here. They went in here and smashed into those trees, so this trail entrance was blocked. We'll probably run into some tourists today. Thursdays are one of our biggest cruise ship days. So let's get started. This is a really charming trail. Here's the trailhead. This is a state recreation area, and Lunch Creek Trail is the longer trail that goes along Lunch Creek. And you can actually take about a 3-hour hike up there. But we're going to take the shorter route that goes down to the beach. And there's Lunch Creek. It's quite scenic. It's a beautiful little trail. As I've said before, I'm really lucky to live near these places. This is about 15 minutes from my house. Let's keep hiking. And very quickly we get a little glimpse of the beach. There's a bridge that was built by one of our local Rotary clubs, which is really great because this was fairly inaccessible before. Looks like these stairs are in need of some repair. This area has more large cedars than a lot of our trails. This is an old dead red cedar. Still kind of trying to hang on. You can see some live branches up there. Red cedars can live up to 1,200 years old, and once they die, it can take them about 500 years to rot down. They are resistant to woodpecker damage, and a lot of funguses don't like to grow on them, but they are susceptible to heart rot. You can actually see in the center of that tree where it is rotting out. Here's one of the more spectacular examples of a red cedar here. These very gnarly trees. This one split in half at some point. The red cedars are what our Southeast Alaska natives, the Tlingit, use to create their large items such as totem poles and canoes. They use also red alder for smaller projects. They use the yellow cedar, and they also make gorgeous, intricate baskets out of the red cedar bark, the inner bark. They will strip off a piece of bark, and a really long strip of bark, and they clean off the rough outer coating and then they split the inner soft fiber into fine pieces, and then they use that for weaving. They make hats and baskets and even big capes. The red cedar is kind of waterproof, so the capes almost act like a raincoat. And here is one more amazing red cedar here. I love this one, graceful curve that it makes. It must have split at some point in its life. It's very large and pretty awesome. We have a lot of other species of trees in this area. There are the little, these are little tiny Sitka spruce, and these can grow up to 6 feet wide. A lot of skinny ones here. We have western hemlock, mountain hemlock, and these are all little berry bushes. This is going to be huckleberries later in the season. So let's keep going. A lot of stairs on this trail. On the back side of that large cedar tree, you can see a common phenomenon here, and that is these little baby trees growing on the old wood on the larger trees. These are some Sitka spruces doing their best, and you can see some of the bear-bread fungus up here. That's not edible, but they'll get really large. They're also called artist's conch. When they get larger, they have a big, flat, white surface, and you can just etch that with pretty much any sharp item. Some people will do oil paintings on them or acrylic paintings, and I've seen in the Oregon coast communities in shops, you'll see little seaside paintings on them. It has a very hard texture, which is one reason they're not really edible. They also can become nests for little animals. I have not seen that, but I read that in a book. These trees with a really pale bark are red alder, and I mentioned those as they are used sometimes by the natives to carve masks or rattles or smaller items. They're also kind of a weed tree here. They grow anywhere where the soil's been disturbed, and people will use them for firewood. Sometimes you just have to cut them down because they grow prolifically where you don't want them. And I have mentioned muskegs in a couple of my videos, and I called it bog peat moss is what they call it. And the perpetually cold, wet soil creates an environment where decomposition is drastically reduced. So it all just stacks up, and the soil it makes is highly acidic peat. And so that's where you'll see those stunted trees that look a little bit like bonsai trees. This is Revillagigedo Island, and it just describes the formation of muskegs. Okay, we are right at the beach now. It's a very typical Southeast Alaska day today. It's overcast, it's cool. It's maybe 50, maybe a little over 50 degrees. We do get an average annual rainfall of 160 inches. So we often have these cloudy days, rainy days. It's a temperate rainforest here. We're in the Tongass National Rainforest. And We are at Settlers Cove Beach today, and it's fairly low tide, so it should be fun. I'm going to go find a good spot to be painting. There's a U.S. Navy facility right out there, and because our waters are so quiet, they use that as a submarine sonar testing base. So you'll see submarines out here every once in a while, which is kind of cool. The bugs are ferocious today. All these no-see-ums are swarming me. This will probably have to be a quick one. I think I'll call that my... These islands are maybe too tall. More like that. It's the joy of starting in pen. You can't really correct your drawing. Okay. All about training the eye, getting the practice in. Today I brought a watercolor set that I forgot that I had. It is a Van Gogh brand. I've probably had this for 30 years. It's got these little paint chips, so it'll be interesting to see how this compares to my little Walmart kit. I did bring my little water cartridge brush. Let's start with, we actually have a little blue in the sky today, although it's very gray. So let's just start with a basic blue. And there's a bunch of clouds. What's that color in the clouds? It's almost a little orange. I am getting attacked by bugs. It's not fun. And there's a little purple. Do I have purple? I guess I'll have to make purple. More purpley down here by the whole range of mountains back there. Oh my gosh, the bugs are bad. Lighten that up a little. Too purple. Some very blue mountains back there. You can tell already these pigments are more intense than the other ones, which would be expected. I think it's a little higher quality set. A little too intense. Dab some of that out. Alright, trying to do this quick before dry. There's nothing left of me except one big bug bite. The Chihuahua's feeling sorry for himself. He has to be tied up so he doesn't harass the border collies. He's over there, feeling very sorry for himself. And the collies playing ball. And then this collie thinks the best method is to lie under me. It does this every single day. Put some light in the tops of those islands. Maybe a little more warmth up here where there's some light hitting. Okay, then this beach in front of me, kind of a reddish color. This is the scene that I'm attempting. Can you see the bug swarming me? It's a thing. Okay, so the beach rocks I think are fairly orangey. Let's see what we can do. At least no-see-um bites, unlike mosquito bites, are fairly innocuous. They're annoying, but I think mosquito bites are far worse. There's some pretty dark trees up here. Hard to be careful and patient when you're being eaten by bugs. Too dark. There we go. A little bit bluer maybe up here, like the sand is. And there's these water intrusions here. And the water itself is kind of very pale, kind of gray. That's not gray. What do we do to get a gray? A little blue and orange. Too dark. And my water. Some reflection from these islands. Trying to make it grayish by mixing the blue and orange. It's not. Orange is really strong. And that's too strong. Getting used to these new paints. I'll use this as a mixing area to get the color I want. Very sky. This water's very bright right here. Bugs are trying to get in my ears now. Don't want the water to be too dark. I think I'm almost done. I can't handle the bugs anymore. The joys of in plein air, am I right? Okay, I think that's about all I'm going to do today before I die of bug poisoning. Thanks for following along on this vlog. These are really fun to do, even with the bugs. Share your experiences below of your in plein air. I'd love to see if you have a channel that has some art vlogs on it, and I'd love to see your work. And I hope you enjoy making some art of your own in the great outdoors. Be creative and have fun.